Hello there YouTube. Today we're going to be doing another StrataScratch SQL data science question. I'm kind of whispering because it's 10:30 at night and I'm visiting family, so I don't want to wake everyone in my house up, so bear with me in my whispering for now. Today we're going to be tackling this question called reviews of categories. It's asked by Yelp and it's rated medium. And this was asked about just about a year ago, a little more than a year. So what we want to do here is we want to find the top business categories based on the total number of reviews. And we want to output that category along with the total number of reviews it has, and we want to order that by the review count in descending order. So if we take a look at our expected output here, what we see is we have the category, the total reviews for that category, and it's in descending order. So let's peek at our data set here. So we have a whole bunch of columns, but really looking at this question, I can come to the conclusion that all we care about is this categories column and this review count column. That's all we need to solve this problem. So I'm going to start by eliminating a whole bunch of this from my output, and I'm just going to select those two columns. So I'm going to say select categories and review count. So now you see here we have a list of categories and the review count. So I'm going to assume here that each category in this will be applied with a count of 101. So something that's kind of tricky with this problem is we have to split this list of categories into individual rows. We have to change this to a row for Middle Eastern, a row for Greek, and we want to keep this review count column. So when I originally thought about this, I figured, why don't we use the string split function? And then I realized this is I don't know how to say this, PostgreSQL, so unfortunately we don't have the option of using that. But if we peek in our approach hits here, we see we have unnest, which is actually very similar to a string split if you're using SQL Server. So now that we have this, I'm going to go ahead and try to split this into multiple rows and keep this review count number. And I'm going to use that using the unnest function. So down here, I'm actually going to give this an alias, call this y, and I'm going to say cross join. I'm going to cross join lateral, and this is basically a method in PostgreSQL, I don't know how to say it, SQL that's similar in functionality to the string split in Microsoft SQL Server. So cross join lateral, and then I want to use the unnest function. We're going to convert this into an array. So string to array, we'll call that function. Okay, and what is the column that I want to split? It's categories, so let's say y.categories. Okay, and then it needs a second argument. What is the delimiter that we want to split on? And the delimiter is this semicolon here. So I'll add that in as an argument. Okay, and then we want to say as category. Okay, so then instead of selecting categories, we want to select what's generated from this here, which will be known as category. So c.category. So let's run this. Okay, so now you can see that it's actually successfully split that column into multiple rows, which is excellent, and it's keeping the review count. So awesome. If you want to learn a little more in depth about how this line here is working, I'd recommend just doing some research on lateral joins, the unnest, and the unnest function. Okay, so where can we go from here? Now that we have this split up, why don't we find the sum of each category because you can see they repeat. So we have multiple night lives, multiple food. So why don't we find the total review count of every column with a specific value. So I'm actually going to make this a subquery. We'll call it T. That's my go-to. And now let's do a select star from the subquery. And just to make this a little bit more readable, I'll format it. Okay, so we're going to just make sure this is still working. Okay, and what do I want to select from here? I want to select category, and then I want to find the sum of review count for every row with a matching category name. And I can do that using a window function. So I'm going to use sum of this review count column here. We're going to use a window function. We're going to say over. And what is it that we want to partition by? We want to partition by the category. Okay, so let's run this now. Okay, and you can see in our output here, it's expecting this to be called review count. So why don't I just go ahead and set that up now? Okay, and why don't we go ahead and you see it wants it ordered by total reviews in descending order. So let's do that. Order by review count and descending. So now if we look here, we have restaurants with a review count of 1703, and that actually matches the expected output, so I know that we're performing our math correctly. And there's really only one more step. Instead of selecting all these columns of the same category, I just want to select one from each category. And I can do that very easily just by saying distinct here. So now let's run this. And it looks like this is working now. So we have restaurants with 1703, we have food with 508, pizza with 456. So let's go ahead and check this. Okay, and we're correct. So I hope this solution made sense to you. Again, really the tricky part of this problem lies in this line here, using this unnest function. And again, this is kind of specific to a PostgreSQL, again, I don't know how to say it, SQL syntax. Like, for example, if we were working in SQL Server, we could do something like this. We could select the category, the review count from Yelp Business Y, and then what we would do here is we'd say cross apply string split, and then we'd say we want to split the category column, or actually it's called categories, I believe. It's called categories. If you look here, cross apply string split on the category column, categories column. The delimiter would be this semicolon, and we would call this just like string split, so SS. And then what we could say here is ss.value as category, and this would pretty much return the same result as this query here. So I hope that makes sense. It's kind of a tricky one just for that reason. If you want to see more of these StrataScratch data science SQL questions, give me a thumbs up, maybe leave a comment, but I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this made sense. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.